Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. James Gunn just announced that he's working on Superman 2, the sequel. I know there's a billion questions about what they're going to do for the movie. James Gunn, surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, has already said a lot about what he is doing and what he's not doing for the sequel, so we'll break it all down. Everybody just wondering when we're going to see him teaming up with Batman, like when are you going to do that World's Finest movie? He has talked a lot about World's Finest, so I will address that too, because there were already some Batman and Gotham City teasers in the first Superman movie. Reading through the latest edition of the Daily Planet to find out what's going on in this Superman sequel. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. Gonna be a couple years before the movie comes out, so we'll be getting teasers drip feed the way that James Gunn does, just because it's on social media so much, for better or worse. But he has already clarified that Superman 2 won't be a straight-up solo movie like the Christopher Reeve-era Superman movies, where it was just Superman's story with like one or two other characters in them. And what he meant by that is that it'll be more of a team-up crossover type of movie. Marvel has been doing this for a long time. It's been a recipe for success for Marvel on their side of things. Probably one of the best examples of that is Thor Ragnarok, when they put the Hulk in it. It just made it a big team-up movie with them. And like I said, even though there was that significant Batman teaser in Gotham City featured during the first Superman movie, in the end when they're evacuating Metropolis, you see a bunch of cars driving to Gotham City, which isn't quite as close to Metropolis as it was in Zack Snyder's DCEU. Like, they weren't right next to each other, but they were relatively close, like not that far away. James Gunn has already introduced Batman for the first time during Creature Commandos, which is one of the reasons why you should watch the animated shows. There was that real short blink and you'll miss it Batman scene during Creature Commandos Season 1, so they just wanted to show you like the chonkier version of Batman, like wow, he looks pretty swole compared to say like Pattinson. Does that mean it's not Robert Pattinson? James Gunn talks about that anytime he gets interviewed because he gets asked about it on the regular. The main takeaway, though, is that Batman has been active inside the DCU while all this was going on during the Superman movie. Like, Batman has been around for a while. So during the events of the Superman movie, Batman is watching this all go down. Like, he saw Jor-El's message about Superman creating a super harem and conquering the Earth and turning it into a new Krypton society. He would have watched Lex Luthor slowly destroying the Earth by opening up that pocket dimension like he was literally unzipping the Earth.
Accept that.
Like, did Superman win him back over like he won the public back over at the end of the movie? Like, all the news anchors are saying, we owe Superman a debt of gratitude. We should apologize to him for doubting him. Or is it more likely that Batman would be more skeptical and also be developing a contingency plan against him in case he ever needed to use it? Not quite full Batman v Superman, Ben Affleck Batman territory with Henry Cavill's Man of Steel, like, not directly trying to actually take him down, stealing kryptonite and trying to build some sort of spear to go against him. Please, James Gunn, we don't need another Martha type of moment. This is why most of the talk of Batman and Superman teaming up inside the DCU, like these new versions of the characters, are leaning more towards World's Finest. Like, James Gunn has used the term World's Finest, which is more team up as opposed to Batman v Superman with them going up against each other. So very different vibe. And you also have to remember that this version of Superman is just way lighter in tone than Henry Cavill's Superman. Like, just way wackier, way goofier just in general. James Gunn clarified that he doesn't plan on doing that World's Finest Superman-Batman team-up movie until after Batman Brave and the Bold. He did say that he would greenlight the Batman Brave and the Bold movie the minute that the script is ready to go, though, so that could get released anytime in the next 2 to 3 years. What he actually said when it comes to Robert Pattinson Batman is that currently the plan, like, remember, keywords, currently the plan, as in the plan could change, is that it's not going to be Robert Pattinson's Batman. It'll be a completely new actor that they cast for a Batman role. If you read between the lines, what this sounds like is that he's just going to keep going back to Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves and asking them over the next couple of years until the Batman 2 comes out, and after it comes out, like, how do you feel about it now? Like, do you want to come into the DCU now, Robert Pattinson? Do you want to sign a bigger contract for more movies? And if he doesn't want to come in, then for sure, yes, they will cast another Batman. But the way that James Gunn talks about it, he's just laying a lot of this on Matt Reeves. Like, whatever Matt Reeves feels like doing in a couple years is the way it's going to go down. because at the current rate that they usually move, they probably wouldn't be able to get it out till Christmas 2027. And remember, that's when Marvel is releasing Avengers Secret Wars, probably going to be one of the biggest, most expensive movies that you've ever seen your entire life. So that's probably why James Gunn, instead of trying to pick the biggest fight with Marvel he possibly could, like just kind of happened with Fantastic Four, with them releasing within a week of each other, they'll probably just push Superman 2 to summer 2028 that next year.
Good luck with that.
Next really big question is, what is the story going to be for Superman 2? Who are the villains? Who are going to be the new characters they introduce? There are a lot of teasers, plot threads that they set up for direct sequels, and some plot holes. And maybe you'll be surprised, maybe not so surprised, but James Gunn said the main villain of the first Superman movie almost wound up being Brainiac until he decided to make it Lex Luthor. So honestly, most likely, I think that Brainiac would be the biggest pick that they could go for that sequel villain. And because he's so connected to the Supergirl character in the Bottle City of Kandor, her original home on Krypton. They just introduced Supergirl at the end of the Superman movie, connected her to the Krypto story inside the DCU. We're going to see her in her movie next summer, but it's not going to be a Brainiac story. It's going to be based on Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which is a completely different part of the universe, but the Brainiac stuff is there in her backstory, just untold story currently. So if the Superman movie is going to be a big team-up, and it won't be a Superman-Batman team-up, who are like the biggest characters he could team up with, a lot of people have been speculating that it would just be a Supergirl team-up. They could team up against Brainiac. For a long time, when Henry Cavill was still going to be doing Man of Steel 2, Brainiac was going to be the villain of one of those versions of the movie. There were a couple different people that came in and tried to do their version of Man of Steel 2, so it did change over time, but Brainiac was going to be in the DCEU eventually. There have been a number of live-action versions of Brainiac before. There's the James Marsters version during the Smallville era. There's the version they did on the Krypton TV show, which is a little bit more comic book accurate, but that was more of a TV budget. That was on the Sci-Fi Network. Probably the closest they've gotten to what's happening in the DCU right now, tying Brainiac to Supergirl's backstory, is during the Injustice games. Like, that game literally begins with Supergirl escaping Brainiac in her pod. But there are a ton of other story and plot threads that they set up in the first movie that they can continue in the second movie, like Jor-El's message wanting Superman to conquer Earth and interbreed with humans to create a new Krypton society. There's also the question of what caused Krypton to fall and be destroyed originally in the DCU. There are a couple of different ways they could explain that. Like, there's the climate change explainer, which is what they went with during the Zack Snyder Man of Steel era with Henry Cavill, or they could do the Brainiac explainer, just because it does sound like James Gunn was thinking about already doing Brainiac in the first movie. So what would be a better way to introduce him than also to tie him to Krypton's original destruction? There's also the idea that he's deeply connected to the Supergirl backstory too, with the Bottle City of Kandor. So already all the Brainiac stuff is just kind of laid out there, like the track work is there.
We are also of the cloth.
Of the cloth?
There's more Superman working with the Justice Gang building out the Hall of Justice and actively in the process of turning into the Justice League eventually, Metamorpho being the newest team member. James Gunn did say, though, it was going to be a good long while before they actually turned into the Justice League. There's the whole idea of Ultraman being revealed as the clone of Superman, the imperfect clone, then getting sucked into the black hole into another dimension, probably, most likely turning into a version of Bizarro in this universe. There are a couple twists that they can actually do with that too. They can also turn him into a version of Doomsday, like they did with Bizarro on the Superman and Lois TV show. That was actually a pretty creative spin on changing the original comics, combining a couple concepts. Remember Rick Flag's reaction to the idea that metahumans are currently, quote-unquote, running the show on planet Earth? They were not happy about that. Like, Rick Flag not happy and the government not happy about that. What is their reaction? Does that have something to do with what they were originally going to do in the Authority movie? Because James Gunn made it sound like they had canceled the Authority movie because it was going to feel more like The Boys, and they didn't feel like they could come up with a better concept than what The Boys TV show is doing right now. Speaking of which, there's also the engineer plot hole at the end of the Superman movie. She was still alive inside the little subway terminal that they broke into, or they punched through the Earth to get there, but the movie never explained what happened to her after that. She was still alive, so they have her new origin inside the DCU. Remember, Lex created her, gave her all of her nanites instead of her comic book backstory, where she's more connected to the previous version, the engineer. but eventually she did join a version of the Authority in the comics. That'll probably happen inside the DCU at some point. So they could form the Authority team in this Superman sequel. They could be some of the Teamup characters. But I do think that we will see the Justice Society characters in the Hall of Justice come back in a Superman sequel in some way. If it's not going to come out for the next 3 years, then the Hall of Justice would probably be that much closer to actually being completed. I know there was a lot of questions about the mural because James Gunn released an HD version of that with way more clarity on who all those Justice Society characters, those previous metahumans were. I'll probably do a video for that sometime in the next couple of days if I can get it out. There's just so much stuff happening right now. It's kind of hard to do videos for every single thing at the same time. One of the other big things that they've already done recently, too, is they cast the human parents for Kara Zor-El, Supergirl. So after the events of the Supergirl movie, she will probably come back to Earth, just also making it more likely that she could team up with Superman in a direct sequel.
What you need to know is everything is canon from Creature Commandos, Superman through Peacemaker seasons.
Lex Luthor will also probably appear again, but mostly in the background, not the main villain anymore. Maybe he's still in prison, maybe he's on his way to getting out, maybe closer to finishing his war suit from the comics. James Gunn did respond to this like, we have plenty of time to put him in a war suit, and we introduced some prototypes for that during the movie, and I think he was mostly referring to the Hammer of Baravia suit and his Raptor suits. We will probably get way more Krypto. It just seems like James Gunn really likes putting Krypto and stuff. He's going to be in the Supergirl movie too. Like, he's a big character in the story they're adapting for that movie. They'll probably introduce more big Justice League characters, if not as main characters, than people in the background. Like, we'll probably have met the new version of Wonder Woman by then. Maybe another version of the Flash. Jay Garrick, Max Mercury, if he's still alive. He was the one that was on the mural. That was the version of the Flash. So, not the Flash we expected, but another Flash nonetheless. When it comes to them introducing more villains, too, there's people they just didn't have time to get to in the first movie, like Metallo, Parasite. Maybe Jason Momoa's Lobo also returns in some way. They'll probably wait till longer to actually do bigger villains like Darkseid, Mongol, Doomsday, General Zod. But everyone just post all your reactions in the comments below and let me know what you want them to do in Superman 2 if it's going to be a team-up movie and it won't be a Superman and Batman team-up movie. Just because Zack Snyder was famous for putting a bunch of Justice League characters inside his Batman and Superman movie when it was supposed to be a Superman sequel, let me know how you want James Gunn to handle this kind of thing. There are a bunch of other videos that I'm working on right now, both DC and Marvel stuff, because the Fantastic Four movie also just came out. So I'll try to get that stuff out as soon as possible. Be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss anything. There are going to be brand new Peacemaker episodes in a couple weeks. I'll be doing videos for that week to week. Click here for the new trailer for that. There'll be a bunch of Superman connection and crossover during that. And click here for my full breakdown of all the Easter eggs and references in the Superman movie. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.